Drivers, start your engines. Pull those belts down tight one more time, warm up those tires, hit your marks, and let's go racing, boys and girls. NASCAR, Indycar, Formula One, Formula E, and NHRA Racing Talk. This is the Championship Racing Network. Now here is your hosts, Steve West and Matt Nicholson, with producer John Myers.
Welcome to what is, at least at the beginning of it, a rainy start to the second half of Alabama Speed Week. What the heck is up with that?
The way it looks outside, it'd be a good day for a boat race.
Yeah, nasty weather.
It really is. But our trusty person with the radar, who's sitting right to the right of me over there, Matt Nicholson, says he might have some good news.
Looks like there's going to be some clearing starting around 10 a.m.
That'd be good. That'd be real good.
So I would expect worst case scenario, maybe 45-minute delay for the ARCA race at worst.
We hope not, because we have seen the track dryers at Talladega, and not just at Darlington and Homestead and Richmond. At Talladega, and they do a great job of drying off the track, and they do it in remarkably fast fashion.
Yeah,
we might, fingers crossed, be able to get things started maybe almost on time.
It's going to be close.
And as far as this afternoon, we don't know yet. It's a little bit of a wild card. Some people say that it might come back in a little bit strong later on in this afternoon. Some people are saying it's easing off throughout the rest of the day, and we might not get anything. Whatever.
It's Alabama. We never know.
Welcome to Alabama.
Yep.
I'm Steve West. That's Matt Nicholson. The guy over there running things is John Myers. Hope everything is going well with you. And let's go ahead. Let's do a review of last week, as we always do. Plenty of racing from last weekend to talk about, so we want to get as much in as we possibly can in segment number one. And as opposed to Atlanta Motor Speedway, where his boss beat him to the finish line, this time John Hunter Nemechek was able to best his boss, Kyle Busch, so we did not take that pencil and turn it into magic marker and put Kyle Busch in as the winner. And John Hunter Nemechek claims his second win of the 2021 season. Nemechek leading a race-high 114 of the 250 laps, getting the lead back with 17 to go after a round of late pit stops. Nemechek's win kept Busch, the series all-time wins leader, from getting a win at Richmond. This is a track that, despite the fact that he's got the all-time wins record in the Truck Series, he's never won at Richmond in the Truck Series.
Surprising.
Isn't it?
Very surprising.
Nemechek first, Busch second, trailed by Tyler Ankrum, Chandler Smith, Johnny Sauter, Todd Gilliland, Ben Rhodes, Grant Enfinger, Sam Mayer running a truck that should be quite familiar.
Mm-hmm. That old 32 ball.
That is Brett Holmes Racing's number 32.
Yep.
And Sam Mayer put that thing in the top 10. Congratulations to him.
From 40th to 9th.
I know. Not bad at all. Austin Hill rounding out the top 10.
That was a good run.
A very good run. Very good run. Keeping it clean. Nemechek is the 1 seed in the playoffs, got 2 wins on the Truck Series top 10. Ben Rhodes also with 2 wins is second, the only other series regular with a win. The others who are now in on points include Sheldon Creed, Austin Hill, Matt Crafton, Stuart Friesen, Zane Smith, Todd Gilliland, Johnny Sauter, and Carson Hocevar. Hocevar holds a 10-point lead in that final playoff spot over Chandler Smith and Austin Self that are tied 10 back. Sunday morning, F1, Formula One in Imola in Italy, and a red flag was dropped when Valtteri Bottas and George Russell got into a serious wreck that just threw debris all over the track. It was like confetti in downtown New York City after a parade. Both drivers were unhurt and walked away, thankfully. Lewis Hamilton had started the race on the pole, but he spun out during the race, actually just before the Russell and Bottas crash. That crash helped him stay on the lead lap. But it was Max Verstappen who was the big winner there. He claimed the lead that really never was challenged all that much. He ended up winning the race by 20 seconds. Hamilton, who after the spin had restarted 8th, was able to recuperate and finish second. He was trailed by a nice run by Lando Norris, who claimed his first podium finish of 2021. He bettered the Ferrari duo of Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. Rest of your top 10, Daniel Ricciardo, Pierre Gasly, Lance Stroll, Esteban Ocon, and Fernando Alonso. And Alonso finally getting a top 10 in his return to Formula One action. Mm-hmm. Hamilton holding a very slim 1-point lead over Verstappen in driver standings, 44-43. Thank you to the bonus point for fastest lap. Mm-hmm. Lando Norris is third. A bit surprising, holding 27 points.
A little.
Charles Leclerc, 20. Bottas, 16. That's probably the bigger surprise. Bottas isn't second or third. Carlos Sainz got 14. He's tied with Daniel Ricciardo. Sergio Perez with 10. Pierre Gasly, 6. 5 for Lando Norris. I'm sorry. That's Lance Stroll. Sorry. My bad. Mercedes holds the Constructors' Cup lead, 60-53 for Red Bull. McLaren's got 41, 34 for Ferrari. Then you get a steep drop, all the way down to 8 for AlphaTauri. Aston Martin 5, 3 for Alpine, and three teams without a point. Alfa Romeo, Williams, and Haas. Who remains without a point? Who does score a point?
Oh, I'm going to say... Wow, that's a tough call.
I know, isn't it? Because you think about the Ferrari engines, and yeah, the Ferrari duo themselves are doing pretty well, but I haven't really seen much, truth be told, out of either Alfa Romeo and, well, let's be quite frank, the 2 rookies at Haas F1. They got nothing. And then there's Williams, who, despite the fact that George Russell seemed to have speed, he's snake bitten.
Yeah, but this snake bite drains all of the venom out, and I'm going to say Williams scores a point before Haas or Alfa Romeo.
And it's very possible that neither Haas F1 or Alfa Romeo score points all year.
True.
I think Alfa's got a better chance, truth be told, than Haas. Haas's car development's done, and we already know that car was junk from last year, whereas Alfa has done more with their car. Mm-hmm. Whether that pays any dividends, I don't know. They're still way behind the 8 ball.
Yeah,
both of them. Then we go to Indycar. They got things rolling about 40 miles to the west of where we are right now at Barber Motorsports Park. One young driver claiming the pole. Pato O'Ward, he was a factor all day, but it was another young driver who jumped from Dale Coyne Racing last year to Chip Ganassi Racing for this year, who got out front and was able to hold off some pretty heavyweight drivers, get his first win. Alex Palou betters Will Power and Scott Dixon.
This surprised me.
You want to talk about an excellent run, though.
Oh, it was phenomenal.
I mean, clean, fast, and nary a move that was out of place in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, when
he was driving above his years of experience.
When he got out front, he checked out and he was gone.
He was gone. Talented kid. Yep. Alex Palou wins. Power second. Dixon third, trailed by Pato O'Ward, who could do no better than fourth. Sebastian Bourdais was fifth. Renus VK, Graham Rahal, Marcus Ericsson, Alexander Rossi, Romain Grosjean finish out the top 10. Since the points mirror the results, we'll deal with that later. we'll get into some news about that coming up in a bit, too. And then we head back to Richmond, where the Cup Series got things rolling early on. This looked like it was going to come down to a battle between longtime rivals Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano. But as the laps wound down, the number 48 started to come alive, and Alex Bowman was able to get by both on a final restart with 10 laps to go, ends up getting his third career Cup Series win, first of 2021, and puts the number 48 in victory lane for the first time since Dover 2017.
That's hard to think of.
For a number that since, 2002 has been a fairly regular visitor to victory lane, that's an interesting stat.
Very.
Bowman wins over Hamlin and Logano, who are second and third respectively. Christopher Bell fourth. Martin Truex Jr., John is happy about this, finished fifth, top five. Eric Almirola sixth, followed by William Byron, Kyle Busch, Matt DiBenedetto, and Austin Dillon. Bowman also now marks the 8th different winner in 9 Cup Series races to date this season. That means half of the 16 playoff slots are now already spoken for. Do we have a chance at getting 16 different winners this year? I mean, we got a chance. Is it realistic, I guess, would be the better way to put that.
It's going to be close. I'm going to say at best 13.
Okay.
At
John,
best.
you seem to be thinking about this pretty seriously.
Nah, I don't think we're going to get 16.
Okay, he says 13. Over, under 13. Or are you going to push? And I'll allow a push.
Yeah, 13 sounds like a good number.
Okay. Knowing Talladega like we do,
Yeah.
I think we could easily see 9 different winners in 10 by the end of this weekend.
Good.
I'd agree with that.
After that, we got a bunch of road courses coming up. We know how good Chase Elliott is. I think that becomes number 10 because he's going to win at least one, if not multiple ones.
If not this weekend.
Which is possible.
Yeah.
I'm going to go over your number of 13, but I think we'll fall short of 16. I'll put it that way. Let's see, where do we want to go? How about some points then after we get with all these people who do have wins? Martin Truex Jr. leads the way. He has 2 wins. Single-time winners in seed order are Joey Logano, William Byron, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Alex Bowman, and Michael McDowell. The points-wise, you got Denny Hamlin leading those guys by a pretty good margin. Chase Elliott is next, then Kevin Harvick, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Austin Dillon, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch holds a 10-point lead over Chris Buescher for that 16th and final slot. And then you get your final action of the weekend on the track, and that belongs to the fine folks over at the NHRA. We start in the Camping World Drag Racing Series top divisions in Top Fuel, where, here's a shock, Steve Torrence made the finals, and he won. I know, those of you who follow drag racing are just absolutely flabbergasted in your cornflakes.
In the words of Gomer Pyle, surprise, surprise.
He had the best reaction time. He used it to claim the win in the Denso 4-Wide Nationals. Put down a run of 3.823 seconds with a 321.73 mile per hour run. He bested Doug Coletta, Clay Millican, and Antron Brown. Matt Hagan with the best reaction time in Funny Car, but 2/3 of the way down the track, Bob Tasca III got by him for the win. Tasca wins with a 3.938 ET at 328.46 miles per hour. Hagen second, Tim Wilkerson third, Ron Capps finishes fourth on that run. And then Aaron Stanfield with a great 0.18 reaction time gets off the line first. But Erica Enders with a 0.21 almost matched it and was already by Stanfield just past the Christmas tree. We'll mention Christmas trees later on in the show. She claims the win by 11 one-thousandths of a second over Stanfield. Derek Kramer's third. Mason McGahey credited with fourth. He red-lighted off the tree. Reaction time meaning everything in Pro Stock Motorcycle. Ryan Ayler jumps off the line much faster than all but one driver. Scotty Polachek. Polachek red-lighted. Ayler posts a 6.911 ET, 194.83 miles per hour. Corey Reed second. Steve Johnson third. And then the disqualified Polachek credited with fourth. In points early on in the season, it is Steve Torrence, not shockingly, leading the way in Top Fuel. 35 up on Sean Langdon, 39 over Antron Brown. Doug Collitta's 56 back, Billy Torrence sitting 66 back. Bob Tasca's the third's win last weekend has him up now 21 points on J.R. Todd, 35 over Robert Height. Ron Capps is 48 down in fifth. Tim Wilkerson sits 58 out. And then we get to Greg Anderson. Anderson with a 33-point lead over Erica Enders in Pro Stock Car. 38 up on Derek Kramer, 43 over Mason McGahey, and then you got Troy Coughlin sitting 60 out. Ryan Ayler's the leader in Pro Stock Motorcycle, 26 up on Matt Smith. Steve Johnson's third there. He sits 57 out. 58 over Scotty Polachek. Angel Sampay sitting 85 points out of the lead. So after a busy weekend last weekend, why don't we get another busy one this weekend?
Let's do it.
Weather permitting, of course. It actually all begins in Spain. Formula E running around one of the Valencia Ypres doubleheader weekend, and that'll be race one starting 10:30 a.m. Eastern, 9:30 a.m. Central Time. It will be live on the CBS Sports Network, the cable channel. Then we come here to our backyard. Talladega starts with the Arca Menard Series. They're going to run the General Tire 200. That gets rolling 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central. Coverage by Fox Sports 1 and MRN Radio. Xfinity Series will take to the track, weather permitting. After that, run the Ag Pro 300. That'll air on Fox, the big network, and MRN Radio. Begins 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central Time. Then we get to Sunday. Dawns bright and early U.S. time. The second race of the Valencia, Spain, Ypres doubleheader. The weekend, the race will get underway 6 a.m. Eastern, 5 a.m. Central Time. Once again on the CBS Sports Network. NTT Data IndyCar Series getting things rolling with the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. They're going to run that street course 1.8 miles long, 14 turns down there in Florida. That'll get rolling at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central Time on NBC and the IndyCar Radio Network. And then the Cup Series is going to get up to the high banks of Talladega Superspeedway with the Geico 500 tomorrow afternoon. MRN Radio and Fox got your coverage there, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central Time of the series that we cover regularly. Camping World Truck Series, Formula One, and the NHRA are all off. So I'm sitting here looking at this rain. And it's been raining pretty good here, I would say, since about midnight last night, depending on exactly where in the state of Alabama you are.
Yep.
And it's this rain and the weird soil that we have here in the state of Alabama that might make you want to check the foundation of your home. Because the truth of the matter is here in the state of Alabama, and we've talked with Michael Hart, and I have talked with other people over the years who have been in the foundation business, and other than Florida, Alabama's pretty much got the worst soil when it comes to putting houses on in all of the United States of America. So you want to get this checked. I mean, this is the foundation of your home. This is whether or not your house stands and stands properly. And there are clues that you can find that may lead you to thinking you might have a problem and you should get it checked. Outside, maybe you got cracks in the brick, maybe inside walls or sheetrock in the basement, or quite frankly, anywhere else in the house. If you've seen cracks there, that could be an indication. Windows or doors sticking, maybe uneven floors, that could be an indication. It's not a guarantee, mind you, but it is an indication. And then if you got water, standing water, or damp floors in your basement or your crawl space. Again, all these are signs, but not necessarily the 100% end-all, be-all that you do have a foundation problem. But you're going to want to get it checked out, because if you left it untreated, it could cost tens of thousands of dollars in damage down the road. So don't take chances. Call our friend Michael Hart at the Ox Foundation Solutions Company for your no-cost, no-obligation written foundation assessment. That's right. He'll come out, he'll do it, and there's no obligation to you. Give him a call, 205-362-6419. That's 205-362-6419. And we got an email, too. It's mike@oxfoundations.com. Have him come out. Have him check it out. He'll tell you if there's a problem. He's already come out here a couple of times, and he's told at least one customer that we know of, you got no problem. Have a little peace of mind, good to go. But if you do have a problem, call him. He'll let you know. He'll detail it. He's not going to overcharge you. He's not going to tell you you got a problem when you don't. He's not going to tell you that there's a problem over here when there isn't, but there is a problem over there. Okay? He's going to be very, very straight up and honest with you. And if you do need some work and you go with Ox Foundation Solutions, which we do suggest, mention the promo code WEST, W-E-S-T. You get 15% off your repair. Give them a call, 205-362-6419. Again, Michael, 205-362-6419, or send him an email, mike@oxfoundations.com, and have him come out and give you the peace of mind that you need when it comes to, if not the biggest, one of the biggest purchases you will ever make in your life. We're talking about your house. We'll be right back on CRN.
Stay right here for more on the Championship Racing Network.
There's no need to drive all the way to Birmingham to buy your fishing tackle.
Woo! Yeah.
At Bugs Island on Highway 707 in Southside Alabama.
In your rod, we're talking about your house.
Reel,
We'll be right back.
they've got it all. From
Stay right here for more on the Championship Racing Network.
Very serious about it. You'll
How
find
much for lag we got?
Not much. 10, 15 second stops.
Cool.
Southside Alabama.
So you were coming back with what, Indycar?
Yeah.
Damn, I'm good. That whole segment just flowed visually.
Cool.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, you
Me
were
likey.
watching-
Me likey. Welcome
You know,
everybody
the rain
who's
is coming
watching.
down hard when you can hear it
I know.
through all the insulation.
Yeah. Yep. Pretty ugly. Those Air Titan guys that were still sitting there when I drove up, gassed up, went inside, got what I was going to get, came back out. They were just then pulling out.
Yep.
Yep.
They pulled up when I was sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
They're all staying in Birmingham somewhere.
Yeah. Or at the very least over in the Leeds area somewhere. Leeds, Irondale. Let's do this thing.
More racing action on the Championship Racing Network.
Hey, welcome back in. Hope everything is going well on this, at least in Alabama, rainy beginning to our weekend where we are supposed to be running Talladega. But again, things looking like they're going to start easing off, say at about 10 o'clock Central Time this morning and maybe this afternoon.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah, roughly. Maybe we can actually get some things going. Last weekend was entirely different. It was beautiful from beginning to end, and the fine folks over at Barber Motorsports Park couldn't have ordered a better weekend, truth be told.
Wow.
And let's kick off with that. Let's go ahead and review last weekend IndyCar at Barber Motorsports Park. Again, we understand NASCAR's at Talladega, but we'll how about this? We'll lead off with them, and that'll give you a hint as to who we lead off with next week. Alex Palou, again, only the third driver to win in his debut with Chip Ganassi Racing. And Chip happened to be at Barber Motorsports Park to see the IndyCar season opener. He joins a pretty interesting couple of names here. Drivers to win in their debut with Chip Ganassi Racing. Alex Palou, Dan Weldon, and Michael Andretti.
Pretty elite company.
Not bad at all.
Pretty elite.
Not bad at all. And that goes all the way back to a time when the kart series and the kart IRL split. You think about this. A team that has 13 titles, 6 of those by Scott Dixon, obviously. This is a good landing spot for this kid.
It is.
And to hear the post-race interviews with Chip Ganassi, and he was just ranting and raving in a good way about Alex.
He really was. I mean, when he got signed in the offseason, I'm going, huh?
Yeah, what did he see?
Wow.
He saw that.
What he did that Felix Rosenquist couldn't do.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Proves it right there.
Yeah. But then again, let's not underestimate what Felix can do. We've seen some flashes about it. He hasn't been steady at it just yet. And I think being that veteran kind of ear, Felix was one of those people that he could rely on. Now, he's got Scott Dixon, too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can't go wrong there. And as we noted, when it comes to Scott Dixon, he finished third on the day, which is good for most. For Dixon, it just continues a very dry streak at Barber Motorsports Park. He has not won at Barber, but continues to just rack up podium finishes. Got to remember, Barber first hosted IndyCar back in 2011. Dixon has never once finished outside of the top 10. He, in fact, has 6 second-place finishes and has brought his racer home in third, including last weekend, 3 more times.
So he's had a podium finish, kids, when you do the math, 9 times out of 10.
11, technically.
Yeah, well, technically 11 now.
That's not bad.
No.
Only twice has he not finished in the top 3. But at the same time, how many times can you finish second or third and not win and not want to go find a brick wall and beat your head up against it?
Several. Several. Been there, done that.
Yeah, I understand. So, back to Palou. What is a young driver who claims his first win in the series and wins in his debut running for the legend Chip Ganassi do for a celebration here in Alabama? In the post-race interviews, he said he was going to go out and look for something to eat. And while we don't know exactly where he landed, he said he was going on the hunt for the best fried chicken he could find in the entire state of Alabama. Now I really would kind of like to know where he landed.
Let's see here.
You're going to try and find it?
If we check back via his social media, where are you? I know I saw it.
All right. While you're looking.
April the 20th.
Oh, there we go.
April the 20th, which was Tuesday.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, Tuesday. FYI, I just got my post-win fried chicken.
Just got it.
Just got it.
Okay.
In Carmel, Indiana. So, did he get KFC? Did he get Popeyes? Did
he find some local place?
Local place. Yeah, local place.
Hey, Alex, if you're watching, inquiring minds want to know.
Yep.
What do you think is the best fried chicken in Alabama, or did you skip out on the state and go find your chicken someplace else?
Well, we know it wasn't anything from... No. Well, about the only place I know of that will ship food out from this state is Dreamland, and we know Dreamland doesn't have fried chicken.
No. Could have got it from Big Bob Gibson's.
True.
They do ship. We'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe one of these days he'll let us in. Formula One style. Lap 1 of the Indycar race at Barber Motorsports Park, there was a big crash. Took out, actually, a couple of championship contenders. The two that ended up out of the race are Ryan Hunter-Reay and Joseph Newgarden. Several other cars were involved as well with varying amounts of damage, including, by the way, one of the guys who finished in the top 10, talking about Rinus VeeKay. He had some damage but did a nice recovery. In looking back at his in-car video of this accident, Ryan Hunter-Reay was actually very highly complimentary of the Aero Screen driver protection program. I watched this video. I know exactly what he's talking about. Video shows that Newgarden's number 2 lost a wheel. The wheel bounced, got airborne, and Ryan Hunter-Reay's number 28 ran right under it. If the Aero Screen hadn't been in place, it seems overly likely the wheel and tire would have hit Hunter-Reay right on the helmet, which we've seen that before, and it's not good. Instead, the Aero Screen and its halo that was underneath it deflected it away. All of that prompted Ryan Hunter-Reay to post that video on social media and said, quote, unlucky or lucky? I'd say I'm extremely fortunate to have the IndyCar Aero Screen here. Thank you to all involved for making this safety innovation a reality. And he added that it, quote, likely saved my life, unquote. I don't disagree.
Nope.
That thing was headed right for his head.
It really was. It was one of those situations, like he said, glad it was there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
And another note when it comes to Barber, we got this noted rookie class of 3 rookies who, well, let's face it, they're not exactly wet behind the ears in the racing world. Romain Grosjean comes over from Formula One, claims 10th place in his first ever IndyCar outing after running 8 total seasons in Formula One, so he's the early leader in the rookie standings. But let's not overlook Scott McLaughlin. 3-time Australian Supercars champion, began in that series in 2012. He came home 14th. And then you got a guy by the name of Jimmy Johnson. If you were listening prior to the show on our flagship station, WTDR, you heard from a guy by the name of Chad Knaus, who used to crew chief for him when he was rolling up 7 Cup Series titles. He chalked up Barber Motorsports Park to a learning experience and finished 19th. And you think, well, that's nothing really to write home about. Well, the first half of the race really wasn't. But as the race came in and they dialed the car in more and Jimmy Johnson got more comfortable with telling him what he felt in the car and what he felt he needed, by the end of the race, his lap times were pretty much mirroring the leader's lap times. So he is adapting.
Yeah, but he's still got a long way to go.
Yeah, he's already in a hole. Let's just put it that way. He's already in a hole. We'll have to see how that works.
Yeah.
And let's give one more note on the review of Barber Motorsports Park at IndyCar at Barber Motorsports Park. In qualifying, the track record was broken by almost half the field. Pato O'Ward, as we mentioned, got the pole. He did so by pushing his horse to circle the track in a blistering 1 minute, 5.5019 seconds. That toasted the previous track record set by Sebastian Bourdais back in 2016. Now remember, I just said a 105.5019. Bourdais' record, 1 minute, 6.6001 seconds.
That is 1 second, kids. 1 second.
Almost a full 1.1.
I was going to say it's over a second, actually.
Yep. And on top of that, the top 11 qualifiers all broke the prior track record, and all top 11 qualifiers were all under 106. There's a pretty good gap from 11th to 12th,
Yeah.
where it was, I think, 106.7, if I remember correctly.
Yes, something like that, yeah.
So what would you attribute this to, Matt?
Repave.
I was going to say the same thing.
Partially. Yeah.
Partially. Yeah, it's not the whole thing, partially, but yeah.
Yeah, they repaved. It was last summer, I think. They did do a repave. That's part of it. And then probably, I'm not going to say it's out of the question that you can contribute part of where the aero screen is, generating more downforce.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could believe that too.
That's
Absolutely.
probably majority of it.
Because you got to remember, they didn't run at Barber last year, which means they didn't run the aero screen last year at Barber, so we
Right.
didn't get a preview of what might have happened.
Right.
We noted last year that at the end of the season for IndyCar, the Honda Fastest Seat in Sports was no longer going to be sponsored by Honda, so we didn't really know about its future. Its future was in question. It took until just before the season opener last weekend at Barber to find the new sponsor, but it happened, and they've got a company named Ruoff, R-U-O-F-F, Mortgage. It's a residential mortgage company that serves 45 of the 50 U.S. states, which 5 they don't. I don't know. I didn't take the time to look it up. But they have been listed by Inc. magazine as one of the 5,000 fastest growing companies in the United States for 8 straight years, and they've got a customer satisfaction rating, according to one independent company, of 98.2%. So that's pretty good.
Pretty sporty.
In addition to sponsoring the 2-seater ride that leads the field off pit road before each race this season, they're also sponsoring a pretty interesting little contest. Win a ride and dine with Mario Andretti. Winner and a guest will get a race experience at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca later on this year, the second to last race of the year. This will include a ride with Andretti in that same 2-seater we were just talking about. Dinner with Mario the night before, one would presume Italian, but you never know.
Hey, it'd be on their dime. I wouldn't care.
It wouldn't bother me at all.
Nope.
You get a commemorative crew jersey, tickets to the race, airfare, and hotel accommodations. Contest has already started. You can enter right now through August the 27th by going online at Race Home with Ruoff, all one word, Race Home with Ruoff, and remember it's RUOFF.com. We probably can't win it because we are somehow affiliated with the race world, and therefore we're out.
I quit.
Nope, you can't. I refuse to accept your resignation. Another ride announced for the Indy 500, Dreyer and Reinbold Racing. They already announced that they were going to enter the race, so this is not a shock. They've selected their driver. He's not much of a surprise either.
No.
Sage Karam making his 8th Indy 500 start. 7 of those are with Dreyer and Reinbold Racing.
Shocker.
He's going to drive a number 24 Chevrolet-powered entry, sponsorship coming from several local Indiana companies and the Indy 500 Festival Foundation. Speaking of adding rides, Zach Brown, who is the CEO of McLaren, not to be confused with the country singer of the same name, got to talking about his IndyCar operation, not his Formula One side. Aero McLaren Racing SP is what we're talking about here. They have two drivers they're very happy with. They are Pato O'Ward and Felix Rosenqvist. So what about a third full-time driver being added? Well, they are running Juan Pablo Montoya in that third ride for this year's Indy 500, so we know that the capacity to field 3 cars is there, but we're talking about a full-time third car. Brown got to talking about that with his partners, mostly Sam Schmidt. They agree on one thing. Good luck with this. It's got to be a driver of Pato and Felix's caliber. We're not going to do a rent-a-ride scenario. And then he thought and looked at it from a kind of different angle and said this, quote, if you look at Roger Penske, that's probably the best way to do it. 3 drivers and a fourth at Indy, they're all championship caliber. Even Chip Ganassi has had to go to some rent-a drivers to round out his program. I think Roger's done it the best. There's been a lot of interest. There's no doubt about it. There's been a lot of interest from a lot of drivers to go to IndyCar.
Yeah.
And it now seems a much more viable thing for the limited field that Formula One has, to where if you find yourself out of a ride, you slide on over.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, what we've been seeing out of Indy Lights over the past couple of years has been pretty impressive as well.
It has.
It looks like he would have, if he's willing to give a young driver a shot, which he's got Pato O'Ward there, so we know he would. Does he want somebody more proven than that, though? In other words, does the success at Indy Lights give Zach Brown, Sam Schmidt, and all those people over there at Aero McLaren Racing SP enough confidence to say, okay, yeah, you're going to be our third driver? To me, it almost seems like they're going to want a veteran.
I would agree with that. You don't want to go Haas F1 and put 2 rookies in a car
Yeah, that's a bold move.
and look like a really bad individual. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
That's keeping it clean. I was
There
catching myself there.
I was about to say there was a quote from Days of Thunder. You were
Yeah,
thinking of?
quite vivid quote from Days of Thunder there. Just watch the movie. You can probably pick it out real easy, kids.
Yes.
But that would be the way to go. You put a veteran in the car. I would say find a veteran that's got more experience than Rosenqvist and O'Ward and elevate your program even higher.
Yeah, so watching the free agent wire, so to speak. In other words, paying very close attention to who has a contract for next year and who doesn't have a contract for next year. That's going to be a big key. But then again, it may not be next year because Brown added that there is no timetable to add said third full-time car and driver. He noted he also has no specific driver in mind. He plans to do, though this will be interesting, maybe a little bit of an IndyCar Formula One driver swap at some point in time. Not for racing purposes, for practice purposes, just to give them a chance to check out each other's kind of cars. He's promised to award a chance to drive the McLaren F1 car in a postseason Abu Dhabi test, and said he would like to get Lando Norris and or Daniel Ricciardo over here with a chance to drive an Indy car as well, but he doesn't know when that might happen.
I found it interesting that Zach Brown was at Barber instead of overseas at Imola.
I found that a little interesting, too.
I found it interesting.
Yeah. And he just missed a win by that much. As for the Indy 500, as opposed to 2020, fans are going to be let in. It has Matt and I thinking. Just saying. Fans will be allowed to attend arguably the most famous race in all of motorsports. In working with Marion County, Indiana Health Department officials, they looked at the total grandstand capacity of Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 400,000 people. And they decided that it could comfortably, even with social distancing intact, allow about 40% of capacity in. That's about 135,000 people. This will make it officially the largest sporting event in the world since the pandemic began. The current standing record in the United States actually belongs right here in our own backyard in the state of Alabama. Last weekend's Alabama A-Day game had more than 47,000 people in the stands at a stadium that has a capacity of, 108, 109?
Bryant Denny is 101.
101?
Yep.
That's right. Okay. Still, that's less than half, but that's currently the standing record for a sporting event in the United States with fans in the stands. Largest crowd at a sporting event worldwide since COVID began, ironically held by Australia. You know, that country that said that they couldn't host Formula One in the season opener? Yeah. They just had a cricket match in Melbourne recently that brought in 52,000 people to watch.
Oof.
40% isn't exactly what track owner Roger Penske was seeking. He was, well, wanting full capacity, but he says he is happy to let fans in.
135,000 is nothing to bat an eye at.
No.
At all.
Not at all. One more note in IndyCar before we take a break here. And our thoughts and prayers go out to the family and friends of one Steve Stapp. Stapp passed away this past week. He was born in 1940. He admitted during his youth he was, well, a hellion. But he caught the racing bug at an early age and began to make some pretty big splashes. At the age of 20, he set a new track record at Terre Haute, Indiana. It's notable because the record that he broke belonged to A.J. Foyt. At 21, he started running sprint cars, and that's really where his love was. At a young age, he got married to one Rosemary, and at one time said he promised her he would stop racing when they had their first child. He held up to that promise, but he didn't get out of racing altogether. He turned his attention to being a mechanic and then later a team owner. As a mechanic, he worked with A.J. Foyt. As an owner in the 1970s, he hired one kid by the name of Pancho Carter. If you know anything about sprint racing, Pancho Carter is a name you probably have heard once or twice. Over a 4-year stretch, the pair won 40 races in the 1974 and 1976 titles. He would attempt the Indy 500, didn't qualify on time. He would be an IndyCar mechanic. He was a top-level driver. He was one of the few that would stand up to A.J. Foyt. But he was, by all means and all reports, a good husband to Rosemary and a great father to Suzanne and Andy. He passed away in his sleep in his Brownsburg, Indiana home with his wife there. Steve Stapp was 80 years old.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network.
Want to have some fun on the water? Come check
Quarter
out
late, kids. I'm gonna get the soapbox out.
Yeah.
In Southside, Alabama. Whether you want one just to fiddle around and play on the water or do some serious fishing, you'll find it at Bugs Island. Jackson, Obi, and of course all of the accessories from Yak Attack. Check out the great selection of kayaks today at Bugs Island, Highway 77 South in Southside, Alabama. Never buy a boat till you get a Bugs quote.
With severe weather's at its worst,
Early warnings save lives.
introducing WBTM 13 Live Doppler.
It sees the storms first.
First, because it's live.
A Central Alabama exclusive.
First, because of its location.
Positioned in the path of oncoming storm.
First, to warn you when danger approaches.
A true right now look at severe weather.
Giving you more time to get to safety. WVTM 13 Live Doppler. Only on today's WVTM 13 News.
Peace to the planet. I go by the name of Charlemagne the God, and you need to check out the new Audible original.
What do you think? Do we need to start pushing YouTube more?
I think so. In fact, we need to probably talk about it now on the air. Now that you mention it, it'd probably be a good thing for us to do.
Because as much as I like Facebook, I hate
Ish.
it more. No, as much as I like Facebook, I hate it even more.
Understood.
You know, when you add a bunch of cool features and then say, oh, you can't have the video that you just recorded.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the rights to that video. Yeah, no.
Yeah,
We'll go somewhere else.
exactly. That'll teach you, Facebook. Thank you very much, Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg.
Tires only. And back out to the track for more action on the Championship Racing Network.
All right. Welcome back into the show. John Myers, our producer. I'm Steve West, the guy over there who has cleared his throat excessively and has broken out the proverbial soapbox and made sure that it is nicely polished and ready to be stood upon.
Matt Nicholson.
Indeed.
Our resident driver.
Before we get to that, though, we do want to mention something. We've been playing with this, and if you are friends with us on our individual Facebook pages, you may have noticed that we have been pushing this as well. But we're going to go ahead and mention it for those of you who have not actually been paying that much attention. Yes, we are live on the flagship station, WTDR, Thunder 92.7 in East Central Alabama, and we are on the different radio streaming apps that are out there, most of them anyway. We've been doing Facebook Live for quite a while as well.
Yes.
And John has been stepping things up and has made things a lot prettier.
Trying to.
It's come along very, very well, and I think most people would actually agree with that. We've added an aspect to it, and I will let John take this over.
Why me?
Because you're the guy that took it over.
Well, it's our YouTube channel. I mean, there's nothing spectacular other than
which you can
it's
subscribe
awesome.
to.
Please do.
Yes.
You know,
it doesn't cost you anything.
YouTube/Championship Racing Network. Boom, done.
Yep. So we have started with past couple of weeks playing with going there really as the primary, with Facebook Live as the secondary, if we can make it work that way.
Right.
So there's a reason for that as well, because if you go onto our website, which John is also the caretaker of, crnradio.us, don't do .com, don't do .net. That takes you to some other company.
Yeah.
Okay. crnradio.us.
Us.
And if you miss any part of the show, if you want to replay a part of the show, if you want to show your friends, please do. Just go on there, look into the archives area, and you can watch the show there as well at any point in time that you would like. Cool? Cool. And thank you very much for your hard work.
You can also check out YouTube/Championship Racing Network.
Yes, it's there as well.
Yes.
But we would like you to go to the website and check it out and let us know what you think.
That too.
All right. Let's get to the Cup Series here. I'm thinking this will be soapbox topic number 1. On the show last week, we mentioned Jennifer Jo Cobb was slated to run this weekend's Geico 500 Cup Series race. It would mark her first start in the series. Notice I say it would mark her first start in the series in her career. Then NASCAR stepped in and said, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. Cobb was set to drive the Rick Ware Racing number 15 Camaro, but NASCAR, who previously had approved Cobb to race in the Cup Series, when was that, 2, 3, 4 years ago?
Yes.
Okay, she didn't make it. Doesn't matter. They decided that since that was a few years ago, and since the requirements and the performance standards have been upped since then, they ruled she has not met the standard in either case. Now, for the record, Cobb has almost 220 starts in the Camping World Truck Series since 2008. She has marked only one top 10 finish in that time. In 21 to 23 races in 2020, she finished on the lead lap only one time. The prior year, she raced 19 of 23 races with 2 lead lap finishes. She also does have experience in the Xfinity Series, but has not run a race in that series since 2018, and that was before the new regulations were implemented. But that being said, they had set prior experience, or prior, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, they previously had said, yeah, we're going to let you go. Precedent. There you go. They had set precedent. They had approved her at one point in time. Yeah, I know they upped the performance standards, but are the performance standards really that much more stringent than they were?
Going into defense legal team mode here, I present Exhibit A. Quinn Houff. Before he started into the Cup Series, we're going to go with all the way from K&N Pro Series East up.
What we would now call ARCA Menards East.
Pretty much. Well, ARCA Menards East, yes. Correct. You're correct. 2014, one start. No top 5s, no top 10s.
Okay.
ARCA Menards Series, 2017 and 2018. 5 total starts, 2 top 10s.
Okay.
Xfinity Series, 2017, 2018. 10 starts, no top 5s, no top 10s. 2 lead lap finishes.
Sounds familiar.
ARCA, 2 lead lap finishes. Let's just call it ARCA East. No lead lap finishes. Cup Series from 2019 all the way through current day today. 62 starts, no top 5s, no top 10s. How many lead lap finishes do you think he has out of the Cup Series in 3 years and 62 starts?
62 starts. How many lead lap finishes? I'm going to go by the number of starts. I'm not going to worry about the number of years. 62 starts, I'm going to say 12?
3.
Ooh. You said how many, John?
I said 3. I was right.
There you go.
3 was right.
Ouch.
A total of 72, 77, 78 stock car series starts. I go to Exhibit B, Josh Balicki.
Okay.
Cup Series starts from 2017 to current day 2021. 44 starts, no top 5s, no top 10s, no lead lap finishes. Xfinity Series, 2016 to 2020. 68 starts, no top 5s, no top 10s, 14 lead lap finishes. Truck Series 2019-2020. 9 starts, no top 5s, no top 10s, no lead lap finishes. And I go to Exhibit C, and I dare somebody to come at me.
Oh, here we go.
Cody Ware.
Oh, okay.
Cup Series stats from 2017, because he had no starts in 2016.
Okay.
2017 to current day 2021. 32 starts. No top 10s, no top 5s, 2 lead lap finishes by miracle, if you ask me. Xfinity Series, 24 starts, no top 5s, 1 top 10, which was the rain road course race at Charlotte last year.
Yep.
7 lead lap finishes. Truck Series, 2014 to 2018. 7 starts, no top 5s, no top 10s, 1 lead lap finish. You mean to tell me that those 3 that are in a current Cup Series car right now are more qualified than Jennifer Jo Cobb?
They would say because they are grandfathered in.
But here's my thing.
Here's my question.
And
how are you grandfathered in?
Right.
Because they've been consistently running the Cup Series all those years. I
1 and 2.
Understand. I'm playing devil's advocate on this one. I agree with Matt, but I can see it right now. An official from NASCAR would state that because they ran in 2020, because they ran in 2019, and because they ran in 2018, and so on and so forth, depending on what driver you're talking about, we're going to let them run. Whereas Jennifer Jo Cobb, as we have noted, has not started a Cup Series race in her career. But
my thing is, and this is the way I see it.
Go for it.
My turn to be on the soapbox. You have already said, yes, she can run. But now you're saying, no, she can't run.
Yeah, because we slightly changed our parameters.
So in my mind, NASCAR has just become an Indian giver. Drop the mic.
I like that.
I'm not going to disagree with that.
And here's my point. Has Jennifer Jo Cobb torn up the circuit? No, she hasn't.
She's been in backmarker equipment her entire career.
Okay, but she is running and driving for her own operation. We know how tough that is in the NASCAR world.
Extremely.
It's not the easiest thing to do.
Right.
It's tough in any series.
Okay. And regardless of whether or not she's got top 10s, top 5s, no wins, however many times she's ever finished on the lead lap, here's the thing that I have always noted about Jennifer Jo Cobb. She's always running when the checkered flag flies, when I see her at Talladega.
If it's not a mechanical failure or caught up in the big one, thank you.
Yeah. And
Thank you.
If she has caught up in the big one, I've never seen it be her fault.
True.
Okay? She's a solid driver, if unspectacular, who takes care of her equipment and knows how to stay out of trouble for the most part. You could do a lot worse than Jennifer Jo Cobb in a Cup Series car. Now, we're talking about driving for Rick Ware Racing. No, she ain't going to tear up the circuit in a Rick Ware Racing car. In all likelihood, she would have been, I don't know, off the lead lap by lap 10? 15?
I would say 20.
20? Unless she got in with a really, really good crowd and that car could keep up.
True.
You know, and if the folks from Rick Ware Racing are listening to us right now, quite frankly, good. I mean, I hate to tell you this, folks, but I would love to see you step up your performance.
I would love to see the engine program step up.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
key component number 1.
Absolutely.
All right.
Because I mean, if they honestly believe that they're going to be lead lap at the end of the race without a heck of a lot of help, they're kidding themselves. They need to do a lot of stepping up over there at RWR. Jennifer Jo Cobb or not.
Agreed. And to whoever, I'm not going to say whoever, the many people that uses this scenario to try to compare it to James Davidson last year, I would love to hit you in the mouth. This is a totally different scenario.
Agreed.
James Davidson, I fully understood and got why they delayed his start from Talladega to Pocono.
Oh, absolutely. Talladega's
I get it.
Very, very different animal for somebody who's never raced at Talladega.
In a stock car.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
No, I have no problem with them delaying it.
He had IndyCar starts. He's had IndyCar starts. He's had stock car starts on a road course.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that.
Sure.
Well, James Davidson, he got to start at Pocono. Let's see. What's the difference between distance in Talladega and Pocono? A 16th of a mile?
Yeah, but there's more to it than that.
There's way more to it than that. I get it. Yes. Pocono still classifies as a super speedway.
It does.
By standards.
But it's not a, well, I almost said restrictor plate. It's not a tapered spacer track.
Jennifer Jo Cobb, who has experience in drafting practice and in trim, who has experience many laps on a super speedway, Daytona and Talladega.
Yeah, absolutely.
But no, you can't go.
Yeah. It was a bad call. It was a bad call.
Pretty bad call. I'm going to say a bad call.
Yep.
Because she's got that experience. By standards, she has passed the test that you were supposed to be doing, get certified, let's say that. Whether it's being in practice trim, a private test, you run an ARCA race, whatnot. She's got that experience. What's the difference?
Yeah. I've got a hard time seeing it.
What's the difference?
I had a very, very hard time seeing it. Yeah.
I'm dumbfounded by it.
I'm not a fan of the call at all. None of us here are a fan of that particular call. It's too late now. The die's been cast, that call has been made, and everything is done, and all of the different moves have been made. Who have they got in the 15?
That would be J.J. Yaley.
Okay. J.J. Yaley he's a veteran.
Even though he's what would be considered he's in his twilight years.
Yeah.
He's still a veteran. Yes, I fully agree with you on that. But
Jennifer Jo Cobb has a heck of a lot of experience under her belt, too, at NASCAR, in the top levels.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't know. It was puzzling. I'm going, huh? I mean, you've got the likes of people that's got way considerably less amount of starts and less amount of experience than she has. Quinn Houff, Cody Ware, Josh Bilicki. Let's see. You got these people that even lowly run Xfinity cars, in which we know Xfinity cars can be as fast as or faster than a Cup car.
It's true.
You got Stephon Parsons. You've got Jesse Little. You've got Mason Massey. You've got, let's see, who else? You can't classify Jeffrey Earnhardt. You got Ryan Vargas. You got Colby Howard. I could go on from now to the end of the show naming people off that's got less experience than Jennifer Jo Cobb on a super speedway or even on a big track in general.
That are going to run today or tomorrow.
That are running and they're going NASCAR. Nope, you can't do that.
Yeah. I think needless to say, we flat out disagree with NASCAR's decision. And technically, we're employees of NASCAR.
I don't agree with it.
For how long?
I guess we'll see, huh? I'll find out probably within the next, let's see, what time is it now? I'll find out in about 2 hours. Let's take a break here, and when we come back, we will have gone past the halfway point. We'll continue talking a little bit of NASCAR action. Very timely news release when it comes to contract talks. That'll lead us off when we come back. You're listening to CRN.
Don't touch that dial. The Championship Racing Network will be right back.
Train wreck. I can't wait to get rid of that crap.
Well, yeah, and looking at this, the rain stopped.
Rain's all but gone. There may be one little bit that clips. There's one last little band that's coming into West Alabama. But it's going in a really, 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 really fast clip.
Is it going straight
east-northeast
towards Talladega?
East-northeast at 51 knots.
Whoa, that's cooking.
Well, I had
Is it heading toward Talladega, or is it going to go north or south?
I had TSA. Here we go. I got it pinged right there in the corner. The bottom edge of the line is fizzing out.
Yeah, it is. So. Okay. Might be able to get some racing in today after all, boys and girls. And wouldn't that be nice? Actually, you're over here. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice?
The wake low is gonna. The wake low is developing while on the wind. That'll help drive the track.
Yeah, well. Bring it on. I just like the fact that I won't have to get out and try and get my credentials in the rain. Yes.
Fuel only. Go, go, go. We're back to the Championship Racing Network.
Hour number 2 underway. Steve West, Matt Nicholson, John Myers. Thank you for joining us on this Talladega weekend Saturday morning. Considering that he just won his first race of 2021, this comes as a timely little bit of news. Hendrick Motorsports and Alex Bowman are in talks about extending his contract. I don't really think that that's going to be a problem.
Nope.
While unlikely that the talks began right after last Sunday's win, the timing of the news coming out is interesting. His contract is indeed up at the end of the year. Jeff Andrews, GM of Hendrick Motorsports, was recently asked about the Bowman contract situation. Replied, quote, "We're in the middle of that right now. Obviously, we will continue on. When we're ready to have something to talk about there, we'll certainly address it. Just say right now that we're in the middle of it. We'll continue on with that, of course." Bowman has raced for Hendrick Motorsports since 2016. He took over the number 48 this year with the sponsor Ally. They are signed through 2023. Speaking of Bowman, when it comes to Darlington in a couple of weeks, he's going to be sporting a different look on the number 48. Of course, that is the official throwback weekend for NASCAR. And since neither NASCAR nor Darlington have specified a time period for this year's throwback weekend, teams can pretty much do whatever the heck they want. So they are going to honor a 48 from the past. Not with Jimmy Johnson behind the wheel. Specifically, they're going to honor crew chief Greg Ives with this particular color scheme. They're painting the car in colors that the team themselves refer to as seafoam with grapefruit-colored numbers.
It's not a terrible-looking car.
It sounds odd. It looks better than it sounds.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
This mirrors the look that Ives' late model had when he drove in his native state of Michigan back in 1998. It's a pretty decent-looking car. Not the best one of the weekend. Not by a pretty decent shot in our mind, but let's face it, the 9 team nailed it.
No, there's JD Motorsports released one yesterday.
That's true, too.
Pretty sharp.
Yeah, that's true, too. As for throwback schemes, while Darlington has that market cornered, there is the almost aspect to that. We mentioned a couple of weeks ago, going to be a number 28 on the track tomorrow that will mirror the famed black, red, and gold look that Davey Allison drove in the early 1990s. In this case, it'll be driven by Joey Gase. If you watched Wednesday's iRacing Pro Invitational Series race from Talladega, you got a preview of it. It's very cool.
Yep.
Then there is Live Fast Motorsports. They've chosen to honor another Alabama gang member, specifically the legend Red Farmer. They're painting their number 78 Ford Mustang in the same look the Farmer's noted Long Lewis Ford rides that actually do persist to this day as he runs at the Talladega Short Track just right down the road. This is a one-race deal that will actually put the Long Lewis Ford Automotive Group on the hood and the flanks of that racer, which will run on Sunday. They did a nice job on this car.
They need to save this one and run it again at Darlington.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Yep.
I agree with
They
that
need to.
wholeheartedly. Netflix is working with NASCAR Productions. They're going to do a documentary series. Now, obviously, Netflix is well known for doing Formula One Drive to Survive. They do a fantastic job on that. Their NASCAR outing The Crew, supposedly a situation comedy starring Kevin James, not as good. I kind of ripped into that a couple of weeks ago, truth be told. Yes, it's got the cooperation of NASCAR. Yes, it has gotten a few NASCAR Cup Series drivers to appear on it. But number one, can the laugh track? And number two, if you're going to state that you're at a track, get NASCAR Productions to provide you with footage from that track.
Thank you.
Now let's get to what NASCAR Productions does well, and Netflix, a good documentary series. According to the next Netflix release, the series will take viewers behind the scenes of the 2021 NASCAR season through the eyes of Bubba Wallace and the 2311 racing team. There has been no release date announced for this yet, but obviously, if they're going to follow him throughout the entire 2021 season, it won't be until at least Christmas and probably early 2022 before they get to putting this up on Netflix. And then there's Carl Edwards. He recently talked to the Kansas City Star newspaper, and, of course, rumors continue to fly about, oh, my gosh, you're retired. Are you going to go back to racing? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? His name just keeps coming up to run for political office. So the interviewer took the opening. He asked Edwards, quote, is your hat in the ring as a candidate to run in the Republican primary to replace retiring U.S. Senator Roy Blunt? And, yeah, Roy Blunt has decided he will no longer run for office, so this is going to be a dogfight to try and grab that seat. Republicans want to keep it. Democrats want to turn it over. Edwards, who did not state a party affiliation, did say this to the question, quote, I don't have an active campaign going on, but I do believe in America, and I really do believe in the founding principles and individual freedom and liberty and sustainability of our way of life. There might be a day when I'm able to help with that. I've told people my views and that I care, and that's why my name gets brought up, because I care about America. It's not really a 110% hard no. It's just him saying, I don't have an active campaign going on.
Yeah.
Carl, there's a lot to read into that, isn't there? There's still time.
Well, there's also a write-in ballot.
There is, and I haven't seen a write-in candidate make it in the U.S. Senate before, but I'm not saying it couldn't work. So if you're in Missouri, just saying. Back to throwback paint schemes as we move down to the Xfinity Series. They, despite the fact that this was really meant, initially at least for the Cup Series, the Xfinity Series has embraced the idea over the years as Darlington has done that. For Jeffrey Earnhardt, it made sense that he would throw back to a look made famous by his grandfather, the legend Dale Earnhardt. The question, of course, would be, what look? For the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta, Dale Sr. drove a patriotic paint scheme at that year's All-Star race. The JD Motorsports owned Zero Camaro, to be driven by the son of Kerry Earnhardt, is set to mirror that look. And they hit it pretty good.
They did.
They hit it pretty good. If you get to see pictures of that, or look for pictures of the Zero Jeffrey Earnhardt Chevrolet, yeah, I think you would if you did a comparison.
The only one thing that I would do to it, if it was me, I would downsize the font size of the Zero. It's a little large, little on the large side.
It is. I would agree with that.
I would downsize it, but other than that, spot on.
They hit it pretty good. Earnhardt said of the car, quote, man, this Forever Lawn Chevrolet is beautiful. Anytime I get the chance to honor my family's history in the sport, I jump at the opportunity. I remember seeing this car that my grandfather drove as a kid, and I loved it. Very thankful to Forever Lawn, his sponsor, for allowing me to run this paint scheme. It looked great 25 years ago. Still looks great today. Mm-hmm. Our Motorsports has finally detailed their plans with driver Natalie Decker in Xfinity Series competition. This is a situation that they inherited because Our Motorsports bought the number 23 car in March. As for Decker, who made her Xfinity Series debut in the car when it was owned by RSS Racing back at the Daytona Road Course at the beginning of the year, that was supposed to be the first of 5 planned races. Well, with the sale, that plan kind of went up into the air. It has finally landed. Our Motorsports says that they're going to fulfill the deal that RSS Racing had with the young driver, Natalie Decker. She's going to climb into the number 23 this weekend at Talladega.
Mm-hmm.
I think we could go back and talk about the whole experience thing, but I think we made ourselves pretty clear about that before the top of the hour break.
Yeah.
After that, she'll race at Nashville Speedway, Circuit of the Americas, Road America, and Martinsville later on in the year. All will have sponsorship from the company Red Street Records. Well, let's go back to throwback, shall we?
Let's do it.
Sam Hunt Racing, the other SHR. They are hearkening back to an old Kyle Petty Hot Wheels paint scheme for their number 26 when they head to Darlington. Driver Brandon Godovic is going to be behind the wheel, and while not actually being sponsored by Hot Wheels, snapmobile.shop, not a bad imitation of the old Hot Wheels logo, and they did approve the paint scheme at Darlington. I like it. Joey Gase. This is not unprecedented, but it's still somewhat unexpected, truth be told, because you're talking about the middle of the season, and there are repercussions for doing this. But Joey Gase has decided to officially switch the series that he's running for points in. He needed to either do that or he would have had to have withdrawn from today's Xfinity Series race at Talladega because Gase, as a Cup Series points driver, is not allowed to drive in the Dash for Cash series of races. Talladega is the second race in the Dash for Cash series. So he officially has switched his declaration of running for points from Cup to Xfinity. He's slated to continue running a part-time Cup Series schedule, and with the change as a penalty for doing so in the middle of the year, he starts off with 0 Xfinity Series points total, and now his Cup Series points get reset to 0.
Uh-huh.
But that being said, he is now immediately eligible for the bonus money in the Dash for Cash program, which, let's face it, $100,000. It's not a bad little carrot to be dangled in front of me.
Nope, not at all.
Turns out, Brett Moffitt's done the same thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
He should have did this from the word go.
And we talked about this when he made that, when he signed earlier on this year to move up, his words, not ours, to the Xfinity Series from the Camping World Truck Series. We thought it's about time. We've seen this guy. He is solid, has run races at all 3 top levels, and has done very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, hey, he's finally getting his chance. Then he signed with Nice Motorsports, and he said, oh, by the way, I'm running for points in the Truck Series. And you and I went, you're going to do what?
Yeah.
It made no sense.
No, none at all.
Well, finally, he's decided he is going to declare to run for points in the Xfinity Series. Again, made the decision effectively to step up, beginning the season as a points racer in the Camping World Truck Series, where he comes into this weekend. Understand, Truck Series is off, but he's 15th in points in the Truck Series heading into Talladega weekend. Now he begins scoring points in the basement at 0 for our Motorsports, which has seen their performance pick up this year. They're sitting 14th in owners' points coming into this weekend. Moffitt has given them their best finish, 2nd at Daytona, along with another top 3 finish, other top 3 finishes this year as well. He will continue to run trucks, but just like we talked about with Joey Gase, he has to restart his season 0 points in both series. That hurts. 0 points.
Yeah. I don't think it will take him long to accrue what points he needs to climb up top, because that 0-2 car has been, I would say, fairly consistent through the year.
It has. Are his chances of winning better?
If you look at it from comparison on how each team has performed for the entire year so far, Nice Motorsports has been way off.
Yeah,
they've been in left field. So I'm going to say his chances of getting to victory lane are better, not by much.
Then comes the question. He has qualified for every race this year, or attempted to qualify for every Xfinity race this year, right?
He has.
So if he get the win and could be inside the top 30 in points,
Which I don't think is going to take long to get in the top 30.
shouldn't know. Suddenly Brett Moffitt becomes playoff eligible. And he's eligible for a $100,000 bonus.
I'm going to look at something real quick. It just caught my mind.
Okay. Do I need to move on, or you?
Keep going. I'll let you know when I get it.
Okay. As we move our attention over to the Camping World Truck Series, and as we just mentioned it, Xfinity Series is in their Dash for Cash program. Camping World Truck Series has their own version of this. They call it the Triple Truck Challenge. It enters its third year in operation. It will begin May 7th at Darlington. Thing is, now it has a presenting sponsor. It's a company called Womply. It's a small business solutions provider best known for helping small businesses access the government's Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP. This challenge gives the winner, if they are a series regular, a $50,000 bonus, which multiplies for winning more than one race. And if a driver, again, must be a series regular, claims all 3 wins, they get a bonus of $500,000.
Oof.
$500,000.
Yes, thank you very much, Austin Powers. Following Darlington, the other 2 tracks in the Triple Truck Challenge, not exactly what we would call the easiest stretch of 3 races. Circuit of the Americas is in the middle after the Lady in Black, and then you got Charlotte Motor Speedway. No pressure. And then there's another driver who is set to make their NASCAR debut. This time it is 2021 ARCA Menard Series points leader Corey Heim. Heim's preparing to make his Camping World Truck Series debut with Kyle Busch Motorsports. He's going to get in the number 51 Toyota Tundra for the upcoming Darlington race on May the 7th. Kyle Busch let that news slip Monday when he was at a Q&A session at Circuit of the Americas.
Okay. All right, I got it here.
All right, what do you got?
With Brett Moffitt changing over to Xfinity Series points,
Yes.
to get inside of the top 30, '30th place right now is a 3-way tie.
With how many points?
71.
That's not... Who are the 3 drivers?
Stephon Parsons, Alex LeBay, Jade Buford.
Correct me if I'm wrong. They're all 3 part-time.
Jade Buford's full-time.
Is he? Okay.
He's in the Big Machine Vodka.
Oh, that's right.
400 presented by Big Machine Hand Sanitizer car.
It's easy for you to say.
Yeah. Stephon Parsons part-time.
If you go up towards
Alex
20,
LeBay's full-time.
If you go up towards, say, 20th in Xfinity points, how many of them are full-time?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Santino Ferrucci's
So
27th.
just over half of them are full-time.
Santino Ferrucci's 27th. He's part-time.
Yeah.
Colby Howard's full-time. He's in 28th with 73. Ryan Sieg in 20th. He's only got 99. He can make that up in 3 races.
Yeah. Knowing Brett Moffitt, he will be up there in a hurry.
Yeah.
I have no doubt about that at all. And I'm a fan of Brett. I've said it
absolutely.
before. I'm a fan of Brett by and large. Yeah, I get the funny feeling he will probably do quite well. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, I want to talk a couple of things when it comes to tracks, specifically when it comes to one in NASCAR, and then we've got some NHRA news that we want to get to. And we also, unfortunately, have a death that we just found out about in the NASCAR world. We'll let you know about that when we come back here on CRN.
Stay right here for more on the Championship Racing Network.
Got that email? Because I'm going to let you do this one.
Yeah, I'll roll.
Whether you want one just to fiddle around and play on the water or do some serious you'll find it at Bud's Island, Jackson, Hobie, and of course all of the accessories from Yakatan. Check out the great selection.
I know I did it in the way that I speak, but that's the way I do it. For those of you that want to know that are watching on YouTube or Facebook Live, yeah, I write all this stuff down, type it all up, and I type it up not as a professional writer. I do it as I speak. So the way that I write is how I talk. I'm not a professional writer. I'm trying to keep my amateur status for the Olympics.
The heck are you watching?
It was Shania Twain's page, but
That's iTradeandTravel.com.
It's Mattress Firm's semi-annual sale, where you can save up to $300 on our top-rated brands like Sealy and Sleepy's. Plus, get a free adjustable base when you spend $6.99 on Sealy. Or buy Tempur-Pedic and get a $300 instant gift good towards sleep accessories. Shop Tempur-Pedic, Stearns & Foster, and more with our sleep
Yeah,
experts
just
today to
leave me
find
and
out
I'll read off. I'll read this off.
I'm not a professional writer. I'm trying to keep my amateurs.
locations only. For offer details, visit Mattress
Well, that shows you how far behind we are.
Four tires and
Here we go.
cans of fuel, and we're back to more racing action right there on the Championship Racing Network.
Welcome back in. Hope everything is going well for you on this particular Saturday morning. The weather seems to be at least cooperating for now. The dryers are on the track at Talladega, we have found out.
That they are.
So let's hope that they can get that stuff fixed and dried off. A couple of more NASCAR notes. One, in the case of Dover Speedway, they've been cleared to open up their grandstands to fans when NASCAR comes to town the middle of next month. Track officials had been in talks with state officials in Delaware, and after state health officials reviewed the track's plans for their COVID-19 protocols, they approved the plan that will allow a limited number of fans. JSki.com reports Dover's going to be able to let those in who have already bought tickets. At the same time, ticket sales have been paused in order to get those that have been purchased and assigned tickets reassigned to be able to follow social distancing protocols. Fans currently holding tickets are going to be contacted to ensure that they still plan to attend, and then their seats will be reassigned. New tickets will be sent out, and once they can work that out, and once all current tickets have been cleared, depending on whether or not they've reached their percentage, which they did not reveal, tickets may go back on sale. We'll find out. This almost seems appropriate that we are at Talladega weekend when we talk about one Charlie Glotzbach, who unfortunately passed away this past week. Matt's got the details.
Yeah, the sad news came out yesterday that Charlie Glotzbach did pass away. He was born in Edwardsville, Indiana in 1938. He worked his way up to the top levels of NASCAR, running his first race at Charlotte in 1960. He never ran a full-time top-level schedule where he was busiest from the years 1967 through 1975, running most of his races in a season in 1968, running 22 of the 48 points races that year.
Can you imagine that?
The next year, he claimed second in the Daytona 500, being passed by the last lap by winner Leroy Yarborough. The year our very own Talladega Superspeedway opened in 1969, he set a blistering pole speed of 199.466 miles per hour.
Now, think about that number for a minute. I mean, Talladega was the first track where it was clocked officially at 200 miles per hour, correct? That was several years later, if I remember right.
Yes.
I say several. It was a few years later. It wasn't that many.
Yeah, something like that.
But to go out there, I mean, this is the track. Remember, the Big Bill France said, I want it to be the biggest, baddest, fastest track I can possibly build.
Mission accomplished.
Oh, he did it.
But he ended up sitting out the race like many top names because of the tire boycott. He would continue to run a few NASCAR races each year up until 1992, with his last race here at Talladega in that year's Die Hard 500. He attempted to qualify for the 1994 Brickyard 400, but did not make the race in his final attempt to get into a top-level NASCAR race. He was also known for racing in the ARCA Racing Series and was the 1964 Rookie of the Year. He was found passed away in his home yesterday in Jeffersonville, Indiana. Charlie Glotzbach was 82 years old.
He'll be missed. I mean, when you think about the things that he did, was he a spectacular racer? No, but man, he had a heck of a lot of respect.
He did.
A heck of a lot.
He
of
very
respect.
much did.
So you will be missed, Charlie. To the NHRA, where we mentioned on last week's show that Jason Rupert had to put Johnny Lindbergh into his funny car for last weekend's Las Vegas event. Rupert, as we noted, has plans to drive the car that he owns, but he was in need of getting his funny car license. Rupert's no stranger to drag racing. He's three-time NHRA Hot Rod Heritage Nostalgia funny car champion, but stepping up to the nitrous package that the Camping World Drag Racing Series runs required an all-new license. Rupert had the chance to make those runs shortly after qualifying took place last Saturday. His first run was a straight one, 4.056 ET. Second run, he experienced a cylinder gone bad, which actually helped push his car towards the wall, but all reports stated that he corrected properly and still posted a 4.159 ET. With the help from driver Del Worsham, the times were certified by no less than John Force and Ron Capps, two of Funny Car's winningest drivers ever. He officially has his Funny Car license, which means, sorry, Johnny, but Jason Rupert, is probably now not going to turn to you to drive his car. And then, if you were listening about an hour ago when we did the recap of the racing last week for the NHRA out in Las Vegas, we talked about specifically the Pro Stock car, where one driver gets a great jump off the line, but by the time they got past the Christmas tree, another driver had the lead. If you've ever been to a drag race event and you're sitting in the grandstands on either side of the track, you probably have found that it is not the easiest thing to see the Christmas tree because they are directed towards the drivers. But Atlanta Dragway, in their very last ever hosting of the NHRA Southern Nationals, so they say, they're going to try something brand new. And the NHRA will, with the help of Atlanta Dragway, debut a fan-friendly Christmas tree. What exactly does that mean, you might ask? NHRA officials worked with CompuLink and their employee Bob Brockmeyer. We're going to give the guy credit for working on new look lights. These are all bright LED lights, which are not only aimed toward the competitors, so they will be brighter and easier to see, but they include LED lights that are also on either side of the tree so that the fans that are in the grandstands can see the progression of the lights either finally or at least better. The lights, this is a pretty slick move as well, considering grandstands tend to sit at different heights at different tracks. And they noted specifically Bandamere out near Denver, Colorado, where on one side of the track, the grandstands are actually higher than the track, whereas on the other side of the track, the grandstands sit lower. Weird. So these lights independently tilt to accommodate these different tracks for different heights and different angles. I'll be interested to see this in action.
Yeah, it's going to be...
For me? Yeah, it's going to be interesting, number one. And number two, why didn't we think about this before?
Good question. Really good question.
I mean, you want to bring the fans in, obviously. I mean, these drivers, they're all doing racing because, yes, they love it and because it's their career. But we all go to drag racing, NASCAR, Indycar, Formula One, Formula E, ARCA, Talladega Short Track, wherever it is that you're going, because we love to see the action on the track. And racing in and of itself, regardless of the series, has prided itself, by and large, as being the most fan-friendly of all major sports.
Yep.
I can't believe we hadn't thought of that beforehand.
The technology may not have been there until now.
And that may be possible, too. That may be highly likely. I don't know. But why this wasn't at least being worked on.
And it may have been. They may have just now finalized it to the point where they can actually implement it.
I love it. I think it's great. I'm looking forward to it. I may not be able to make it to Atlanta Dragway, but I'm going to certainly try and check out the television of it because I want to see it in action.
It's like, why haven't we done what we're doing now with our lives before?
Because you didn't think about it?
Technology was there, but we didn't have anything to implement it with.
Now we have the technology.
True.
And we can rebuild him.
True.
Just give me $6 million and I'll be happy.
Anybody got that? I don't. Let's turn our attention to the fine folks over at Formula One. We had mentioned during the Formula One recap that there was a major accident between Williams driver George Russell and Mercedes driver Valtteri Bottas. This ended up bringing out a red flag due to the amount of debris that they, just tossed around the track willy-nilly. After the two cars finally came to a stop in the gravel pit and he was cleared to get out of the car, Russell quickly extracted himself from his totaled Williams racer, purposely, I use this word carefully, purposely walked over to the Mercedes, and before Bottas got out, said some choice words and slapped Bottas on the helmet. Bottas had not gotten out of the car yet, probably realizing that something was coming.
Probably.
Just noting.
Probably.
However, Russell didn't stop there. He pointedly asked as we found out later, if Bottas was trying to kill the both of them. In the post-race interview, Russell said this, quote, "We're going incredibly fast. We know the conditions. In his eyes, he's not really fighting for anything. A P9 for him is nothing, but for us, it's everything. I'm going for absolutely everything. The move would have been absolutely easy. There was absolutely no reason to jolt like that. It's a gentleman's agreement between the drivers because we've always said that it will cause a massive collision one day, and here we are." So, of course, Valtteri Bottas was asked about Russell's comments after the race, and he, of course, laid the blame at Russell's feet. Quote, "Then George could close. He obviously went for an overtake in a place there's pretty much only one dry line." Yeah, it had rained before the race, and you could tell the light gray versus the wet, dark gray. Bottas continued on, quote, "I've seen the replay. There was definitely space for two cars all the time. I don't know what he was talking about, trying to say something. It was completely his fault and quite disappointing. Formula One gave no penalties. F1 stewards called the crash between the two drivers, quote unquote, a racing incident. I saw it. And if anybody really is at fault in looking at the replay, I'm sorry, George, it was you."
Yeah, it was clearly Russell's fault.
He went over to a side. He got his right side tires off into the grass. And if you get your right side tires off into the grass running racing slicks in a Formula One car, I don't care how much downforce you got, you're not going to go straight. And as he was making a rather sweeping left-hand curve and he tried to pass Bottas on the right, the steering wheel was cocked to the left just a little bit. And when the car started to turn, John, which way did it turn?
Every which way but loose.
Specifically to the left, right into Bottas.
Bingo.
Sorry, Georgie. Your fault. And given some time to cool off from the emotions that came right after the incident, Russell had taken a closer look at the incident in replay, and he ended up taking to social media and apologizing to Bottas. Thank you, gentlemen. Russell posted this, quote, "Yesterday wasn't my proudest day. I knew it would be one of our best opportunities to score points this season. And when those points matter as much as they do to us, the Williams team, right now, sometimes you take risks. It didn't pay off. I have to take responsibility for that. Having had time to reflect on what happened afterwards, I know I should have handled the whole situation better. Emotions can run high in the heat of the moment, and yesterday mine got the better of me. I apologize to Valtteri, my team, and to anyone who felt let down by my actions."
I got to give this guy kudos. I don't care who you
with
are.
you.
When you swallow your pride like that and apologize, it's a stand-up guy right there.
Some people, I'm not going to name names.
Matt, you obviously have something to say on that.
He is. Hang on. I'm going to let him get up on the soapbox here in just a second.
I'm really not on the soapbox on this one.
Okay. He's looking at the soapbox. He hasn't stood on it. We're in a time in our world, quite frankly, where everyone sits there and says, "Ain't my fault, man." And they would never accept blame for this at all. So I'm with you, John. I'm 110% with you. Major kudos to George Russell for stepping up and realizing, you know what? I look back on it. Yeah, it's my bad. I can't avoid it.
Yeah.
I can't change it. I wish I could, but I can't. So I'm gonna fall on my sword and I'm gonna apologize to everybody, including Valtteri Bottas most of all.
Even if this was an forced move,
which I don't think it was.
I don't either.
But we'll go with that.
But even if it was, just to do it is stand up.
Matt?
Well, yeah. I don't disagree with that at all. But I would be remiss to say if Toto Wolff didn't intervene in this, I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Because it was going, then all of a sudden, switch flip.
And there is reason to think that. Because if you look at it, this appears to be less of a rivalry between Russell and Bottas, or even Williams and Mercedes. You got to remember, Williams is a Mercedes engine customer, and Russell is a Mercedes driver who's on loan to Williams. Mercedes knows the Red Bull's really more of a major rival, so I get the funny feeling you're probably right. Toto Wolff from Mercedes got on the old telephone and called up George and said, "Hey, listen, look at it again." And when you look at it again with open eyes, non-biased eyes, apologize. probably true. But again, kudos to him for doing it because they're, again, I'm not naming names, but they know who they are, and some of them are in town this weekend. Who would never have admitted that they were in the wrong. Let's just say it that way. Meantime, when it comes to Mercedes and Red Bull, Red Bull is the major rival for Mercedes when it comes to wins, and I think now we've pretty much figured out they are a major competitor when it comes to the title, be it driver and or constructor cup. So this probably becomes as really, really damaging news to Mercedes. One of their senior power unit, read powertrain, engineers, Ben Hodgkinson, who was, and I emphasize the word was, the head of Mercedes AMG High Performance Powertrains, is leaving Mercedes and going to Red Bull to become their technical director.
Smack in the face.
Yeah.
I would believe Dr. Helmut Marko opened the checkbook up really, really big.
I believe you are correct because you think about this. Red Bull is expanding out their Milton Keynes Operations Center in Britain. That's their racing operations center in the UK. This is in preparation to bring the engine program that they are currently using from Honda in-house. In addition, they're also throwing a very broad net and hoping to attract the best talent, in their words, to come work in the new engine facility, Ben Hodgkinson being number one. Moving from the Honda plant to their Milton Keynes plant actually puts the engine building right next to their chassis building, and if there's any one thing that Red Bull has been noted for in their history, it is their ability to build high-class, overly competitive chassis, and now they turn around and try and put that same effort into building an engine. Oof. To help the engine program even more, knowing that they're about to have their own engine department, they made a move, again, with Ben Hodgkinson. This has to hurt Mercedes. Has to hurt them. He's worked with Mercedes for over 2 decades. He comes over to Red Bull, and what is his job? Don't worry about what we're dealing with right now. We want you to start concentrating. This is how far ahead Red Bull seems to be. Ben Hodgkinson comes over as their tech director, and he is already tasked with working on, not the engine for 2022, but begin working on the new engine regulations that will come in 2025. Yeah, they popped open a checkbook for that.
Yeah.
Big time. Big time.
They're not playing around.
No, they're not at all. And here's the thing. Again, they are legitimate competitors to Mercedes for this year to unseat Lewis Hamilton and to unseat Mercedes. I'll be very interested to see how all that turns out, truth be told. This is, I mean, it's a foundation that they need to build.
Oh, absolutely.
The foundation for your house is every single bit is important. You need to make sure that as much money as Red Bull is putting into their engine operations, you have spent that kind of money from your wallet or pocketbook on the place where you and your family live. And you don't want it to just go sinking or falling apart. And that's where your foundation comes in. And if you've got any problems at all, or if you suspect you have any problems at all, get it checked out. Call our friend Michael Hart at Ox Foundation Solutions. He'll come out. He will go all around your house, under it, over it, through it, however you could possibly look at it. Find out if there's anything going on with your house. And you will end up with a paper in your hand that says, you have no problem, or you have a problem, and here's what it is, or here's what they are. And this is no obligation and no cost to you. So why wouldn't you do it? Give them a call, 205-362-6419. If your foundation fails, you either have to move or you're going to spend thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of dollars in getting it fixed. And I'm going to bring the resident driver in on this because the resident driver would know this. Let's say you have 5-10 laps into a run, a wheel shake.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to get better?
Nope. Not at all.
If you're stepping on the brakes and you get a severe vibration through the brake pedal, is that going to get better?
No, sir.
So if you have a problem where the foundation is sagging on one corner of the house, what are the chances that that's just going to fix itself?
Slim.
Get where we're going with this?
Yep.
Make sure that you understand what's going on. Again, it's no cost, it's no obligation, and Michael Hart will write it down for you so you know, hey, there's no problem, or hey, I got a problem and this is what it is. And you know what you're looking at. You're going to get an estimate and you'll be able to save up for it, or they're going to be able to help you out with it. But here's the thing. We can help you out on that as well. If you do have a problem and Michael tells you this, when you call him at 205-362-6419, or you email him at mike@oxfoundations.com, mention the promo code WEST, you get 15% off whatever the repair cost is. We're trying to help you make sure that your house is set long-term. Ox Foundation Solutions, Michael Hart, 205-362-6419, or mike@oxfoundations.com, and tell him you heard about it right here on CRN.
Right back.
There's no need to drive all the way to Birmingham to buy your fishing tackle. You'll find it all.
Stenhouse takes 9.
I saw that. Smoke finished, what, third or fourth? Would have been fun to have been out there.
Yeah, I almost went.
Number Gertz. Would have been fun to have been out there.
Helps with the pots up.
Number Gertz. Here we go. That was quick. Hey, welcome back into the show. Wow, final segment already. We'll get in as much as we can and see if we can make some picks for this weekend. McLaren has worked up a sale and lease back agreement on its own facility in Woking, England. The facility, which houses their Formula One operations and road car building operations as well, has been sold to a company, an American company, as it turns out, called Global Lease Net. Global Lease Net turned around and they're leasing the building back to McLaren on a 20-year basis. Sale of the building to GLN is reportedly £170 million British sterling. McLaren began talking about selling the award-winning facility, apparently due to its design, whatever. Back in 2020, due to some monetary problems brought on in part by COVID-19, took them months in negotiations before they finalized the deal. McLaren gets the sale money immediately. They plan to use it to kind of parse it back to GNL for leasing to remain in the facility, obviously, but also by giving much-needed cash infusion to invest back into the company as a whole. In other words, it probably will not only benefit the race team, but it will probably help out the road-going cars as well, of which I like them. I can't afford them. He needs a microphone. There it is.
There we go.
Do I have to?
Yeah. I can't afford one either.
No. Yeah, they're very nice to slobber over.
I'd love to drive one.
They are made of unobtainium.
But I can't afford one.
No. Exactly. Here we go with the on-again, off-again, on-again, off-again Miami Grand Prix. In the wake of what we mentioned last week regarding an approval vote by the Miami City Council, giving Formula One the go-ahead with some riders attached, it was up to Formula One to ultimately decide whether or not to agree to those terms. They did, apparently. Coming into 2022, when exactly is not known, but Formula One is going to be racing around Hard Rock Stadium's parking lot, and the United States has officially a second Formula One race. Or at least it appears so.
Yeah.
We say it appears so because at this time, Circuit of the Americas, which brought Formula One back to United States shores, actually sees their contract end after this year. That being said, COTA officials state that they're very interested in keeping their race. As for Miami, much like Central Texas, where Circuit of the Americas is located, they call this a destination for the series, noting and knowing that while Formula One is still new to America at large, the Hispanic populations that they have in Texas and South Florida grew up with the series, and they go to races. But that being said, if they came to, Barber Motorsports Park, I'd be there.
I am giving strong consideration to go into this race.
It'd be fascinating. I'd love to see F1 cars in action live and in person.
Because after I saw that simulation of the Miami layout yesterday.
Oh, yeah. You want to talk about fast. They got a couple of long straightaways there where they used 8th gear.
And 8th gear was in use for a long time.
Yeah. You're talking about pushing top speed for a Formula One car.
Easy.
8th gear,
Easy.
doing what they did at Miami.
Because it was, where was it last year? Mugello. They touched 8th gear briefly.
That's true, yeah. That was the only track that I could think of right offhand
that I
I saw
remember,
8th gear, yeah. It's not that they haven't done it before, but it's one of the few that I know of.
If this simulation matches up, they're in 8th gear for, I'm going to say, out of the lap on both straightaways, a solid 20 seconds.
Yeah, I was about to say at least 8 seconds per. So, yeah, 15 to 20 seconds easy.
Yeah.
That's cooking. That's cooking.
Mm-hmm.
And then we turn our attention to that all-electric series. I found it interesting. I didn't really talk about this a whole lot, but I did find it interesting that the higher-ups, Jamie Rigel and all those people, and even Jean Todt from the FIA are saying, why isn't the FIA getting more and more press? Because they get, they'll come to town, whatever town it is they're going to, in this case, Valencia, Spain, for this weekend, and they'll get some television coverage, and they might get a blurb in the newspaper. But by and large, nobody's really covering it like they would do for Formula One or here in the United States for NASCAR or Indycar. I did find it interesting because it got a little bit of a smile on my face when I thought about it. I'm like, he's complaining about the coverage. We've covered this series since day one when it was really more of just a curiosity. And we all got a laugh over the fact that in the very first race televised then on Fox Sports 1, they put a music track under it to make sure that there was at least some noise.
Track.
But we have covered it since day one, Jean. How about a little love here? Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Just saying. Meanwhile, Formula E officials are taking yet another page from their F1 brethren. They're working up a Concord agreement similar to what Formula One is using. They want to boost their audience's understanding of the series by better defining the deal between the series and the teams that are participating in it and the broadcasters from all around the world. The agreement should be introduced along with the Gen 3 racer rules and the rules in order to, in Formula E's words, quote, enhance the financial sustainability and commercial attractiveness, unquote, of the series. I don't know what that means. Hopefully they do. Either way, it's set to define which entities will have control over live broadcast rights, what teams are allowed to do when it comes to producing their own content for each race and racer. At this time, there isn't much when it comes to restrictions, save for on-track footage for the broadcasters. We'll find out what happens later. This new deal is also supposedly going to formalize what will be allowed and what won't across the board for each team and clear up for the broadcasters around the world who have the rights to televise the series what social and digital products they can and cannot be allowed to use. Plus, there's the promise that things are going to be a little bit more clear for the fans as well. Good luck.
Yeah.
Meantime, Formula E officials still want to get in 15 races this year. They're looking at Mexico once again. We're going to do this in a two-part bit in chronological order as we always do. The first of the series of news stories that came out this year about the schedule for 2021 dealt with this story first. They're looking at Mexico because they want to reach the number, again, 15 races. Later this year, when the series comes to New York, they wanted to pair a Mexican E-Prix along with it. However, the regular circuit, which is Mexico City's Hermanos Rodriguez, appears to be out, at least for now, because it is home to a temporary hospital. That should be cleared up by the time Formula One comes to town, but that's another story altogether.
Yeah.
So they're looking at a place that is just on the southeast side of Mexico City to keep the race in the country. For the upcoming third generation of Formula E, we'll get to that in a second, we're talking about the city and the, I guess, state, technically, because Mexico is full of different states. The state and the city of Puebla in Mexico. Government officials announced that they're set to begin to allow fans in to see, for example, say the local soccer team, which means likely fans would be allowed to attend a Formula E race should they get it there. The course comes across as a bigger version kind of of Martinsville. They got 2 long straightaways connected by relatively tight turns, making up a 1.25-mile oval that is used by the NASCAR Peak Mexico Series. But they're, with all the little road course things that they put into the infield, there are actually some 18 different configurations that they could use of this track.
That's a lot.
And any number of road courses that could be very short or all the way up to 2.1 miles long, Grandstand's got a capacity of 42,000 people. So as for this 15-race plan, once they looked into this situation, Formula E signed some papers and released the remainder of the 2021 series schedule 2 days after the news of the possible Mexico E-Prix. So here we go. Valencia this weekend. Monaco May 8th. Then they're off until June 19th when they head to Puebla, Mexico for a doubleheader weekend. July 12th, they'll be in New York City for another doubleheader weekend. And then there are 2 more doubleheader weekends to round out the year, the weekend of July 24th in London, and they'll wrap up the 2021 season the weekend of August 14th in Berlin. Okay. I like where they're going with that. I don't have any problem with that. It's called, by the way, the Autodromo Miguel E. Abed, proposed 1.8-mile road course that they initially evaluated. They have not stated exactly what layout they're going to run. I would imagine the 1.8-mile course, if that was the one that they were initially looking at, probably going to end up being the one that they're going to use.
Olé.
Olé. And then for the upcoming 3rd generation of Formula E, we have already heard from these companies, DS Takeda, Porsche, Nissan, and Mahindra. They've all committed to Gen 3. This week they were joined by no less than what we used to call the backmarker of the series, the Neo 333 racing operation, now owned by a Chinese manufacturing company, Shanghai Lisheng Racing. They have already shown their improvement over 2020. They got 4 points finishes in the season's 4 races to date, and they liked it so much they said we'll continue on. So there you are. That is the full rundown for this week, whether you like it or not.
Key tweet here from the National Weather Service of Birmingham regarding the weather for today.
Okay.
Where yesterday we were in a level 3 out of 5 for severe weather.
And that was a tick up from about Wednesday or Thursday of this week when we were told we were in a level 2 for today.
We are now on the edge of the marginal risk. They have reduced it to almost 0.
Is good news, yes. We like it.
Has decreased dramatically.
Because here's the thing. And you and I have seen this, and John's seen it as well.
Oh, yeah.
We can. It's not necessarily the most comfortable thing to do. But we can run a double header on Sunday. In other words, pair the Cup Series race with, in this case, the Xfinity Series, which we have done in the past.
Quite a few times.
I was not relishing the idea of the thought that we might end up trying to do 3 races in one day.
Well, the thought of it was great. even though I have seen a green flag in the air at 8 a.m. at Talladega Superspeedway before.
Yes, it is true. We have.
8 a.m. green flag, which that's probably a great way to wake up in the morning after a long night of partying in the infield.
Yeah, if you had been doing in previous years the big one on the boulevard until say, I don't know, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, Friday night, Saturday morning, and then you get woken up by the sound of 35 to 40 very loud, unmuffled engines.
Yeah.
Think about that for a second.
It was feasible. But the way how we know how these television people operate, which I wish, and I'll say it like we dealt with in 2019, I wish we had more Kerry Tharps in the world.
Agreed.
Because we know Kerry Tharp flat out said, boys, we racing tonight.
We're getting this done.
Yeah, and it turned into the 24 Hours of Darlington.
A race that should have started at what, 6 Eastern?
6:30, I think.
Okay, yeah, green flag officially 6:15, 6:20, 6:30 Eastern time.
Green flag fell at 10:38 p.m.
Yeah, and we didn't get out of Darling. The race didn't end
until 2:30
ish.
2:30 a.m. ish.
And as Matt and I, after doing our post-race review with Kerry and Dennis and Russell.
Dan was in there too.
And Dan. We were driving to the hotel.
The sun was coming up.
Uh-huh. Now, the difference obviously is the fact that Darlington has lights, Talladega's not.
Mm-hmm.
But we've also proven that we can run at Talladega a little bit later than what most people think.
Yes, we have. There's been several dusk checkered flags fall.
Which we have termed Talladega After Dark.
Yeah.
Loosely.
With the how do I word this? How the front stretch lighting structure is now. It wouldn't take all that many more lights.
Not many, no. You put some good bright LEDs on there, man. You could light up that
because
place
just
pretty
the
good.
lights from the stands alone, light that front stretch up really well.
I drove by it this morning, and it's a habit of mine. And if you happen to have last fall's program, you saw profiles of myself and Matt Nicholson, Grady Sapp, and Matt Coulter, who all of us supposedly do PA out there. That's another story altogether. Much too long to get into on this particular episode.
There's no supposedly to it.
I know. But anyway, I said in my comments at the end, I would like to get into it, but I'm limited on time. I said in my comments that every time I pass by it, and I don't care whether I'm going eastbound or westbound, I'm like a kid at Christmas, I have to look at the track.
Yep.
I can't avoid it. And this morning, knowing that there are people there, and we're preparing for this race weekend, to see those grandstand lights lit up was just so cool. Yep. Loved it.
Yep.
Loved it a lot. All right. Thoughts on, and you can go ARCA if you choose, but Xfinity today? This is tough. I mean, Talladega is always tough to predict.
I'm going to say ARCA, considering he finally caught his break with a starting spot and didn't have a bad luck in qualifying with getting a jump draw. I say Brett gets it done in ARCA.
In his hometown.
He's got that mindset this weekend.
And he's got the horse. There ain't no doubt about it. Xfinity?
Xfinity, I'm going to say it's going to be a Colleague racing car.
I like that thought. I was thinking Justin Haley because he is tough
I'm gonna say
at super speedway.
I'm saying Jeb Burton.
I like that pick too, but I'm going to go Haley. Cup Series.
We get our 9th winner. I'm going to say Denny Hamlin.
I'm actually going to stick with the team that has been winning over there pretty consistently over the past 3-4 races. I'm going to stick with Team Penske. I'm not going Ryan Blaney. I'm saying your winner's Brad Keselowski, the guy that won the iRacing Pro Series Invitational on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
We'll find out. We'll let you know next week. If you're coming out to the track, be careful. Have a great time. I hope to see you out there. I'll be up in the PA tower doing whatever I can do. And I'll be staring down at Matt, who will be in the grandstands. Say hi to him, too. Enjoy the racing.
I'll be on standby.
And we'll talk to you next week right here on the Championship Racing Network.
This has been a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.